don't start with NVIDIA, because I know you talked about it.
We haven't talked about it enough today.
Oh, is that sarcasm?
No, I'm not. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
Jim Cramer's not here. Usually in the 9 to 10, we must mention it at least 27 times.
Okay. Well, for our audience that maybe gets a little bit bored hearing about NVIDIA all the time, I'll start with the broader sector, because it was definitely all the rage in 2024 as the semi-industry ETF saw growth of nearly 40%. And I say this, SMH, stocks, all of those, and those outpaced the broader U.S. market. But zoom out, and that wasn't as impressive as 2023 when the AI boom first kicked off and everybody was just scrambling to get a piece of the pie. Outlook for the chip space does hinge on the success. Now I can talk about NVIDIA, about one of its bellwethers, NVIDIA. Although shares have remained pretty flat just over the last 2 months or so, NVIDIA shares still skyrocketing over 180% this year. There's no doubt the GPU king will continue its reign, but there's still debate right now. And this is a new narrative for this year, revolving around the time frame of that success. Recent checks show weaker demand for the current GPU, that would be the Hopper iteration, as customers are waiting for the latest Blackwell. That's the next iteration. So, they're not maybe holding off on some of their purchases to wait for the next and greatest. They also have been, there's been back and forth headlines about possible delays for said Blackwell, and then additional China chip restrictions. But investors really, of course, aren't fazed by these concerns. A key catalyst will be CES next week, where we'll hear from Jensen Huang, as well as the CFO Colette Kress, about the future of AI computing and possible financial goals and updates for Blackwell. NVIDIA and several other AI winners like Marvell, ARM, Broadcom, chip manufacturer TSMC have all fared well over the year, bringing in an average return of over 100%, outpacing that basket of chip names that we talked about, the SMH as well as the SOX. But the rest of the sector hasn't fared as well as those exposed, let's say, to auto and electronics. The PC refresh cycle, we heard from HP not too long ago, saying it's just really a slow start, and it's impacting names like AMD, memory maker Micron. We know their guidance is a lot weaker very recently, just a few weeks ago. Intel, down 60% on the year, one of the worst, I guess 60% of its value lost in 2024, biggest drop in 53 years as a public company. So
NVIDIA's stock fell 2% to $134.09 on Tuesday, hitting a low of $135.67 during trade. The volume was out of 45.6 million shares, which is less than 10% of the usual daily volume of 376.9 million shares, and trading was extremely quiet. The stock ended Friday's trading session at $137.49. Despite a slight decline in NVIDIA's stock price, Wall Street analysts remain confident in the company's long-term growth prospects. Susquehanna kept its positive rating on the semiconductor giant and increased its price target from $160 to $180 earlier this month. Additionally, TD Cowen raised its price objective from $165 to $175 and reaffirmed its buy rating. After stating that they saw high demand for NVIDIA's products in the data center and AI areas, other companies, including Truist Financial and the Goldman Sachs Group, also increased their ambitions. But Davidson took a more measured approach, raising its price target and rating the company as neutral. With 39 buy recommendations, 4 holds, and 1 strong buy, NVIDIA was rated as a moderately buy. It now establishes $164.15 as the stock's consensus price goal. According to analysts, NVIDIA is well positioned to support future growth despite short-term volatility, with new markets in artificial intelligence, gaming, and enterprise making the stock a desirable sell for long-term investors. So, what implications does this have for NVIDIA's stock? Let's explore that. But first, a big thank you to those of you who've stuck with us this far. Creating these videos takes significant effort and dedication. So if you're enjoying the content, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts on NVIDIA stock in the comments. Your support truly helps us grow. Now let's get back to the video.
More than its share of issues.
Yes.
And in fact, I would assume it's going to be on your radar. It is for mine as well in 2025. what's going to happen in terms of leadership there, not to mention in terms of the structure of the company itself. Any number.
Altera, what's going to be spun off? How are they going to split it up? Who's the leader?
Will it be split up in some fashion? Would you really see the bigger split that certainly people talk and speculate about in terms of manufacturing and design?
And I guess some of the debate, I spoke to an executive, another chip executive, who said that the problem with Intel is they tried to do too much all at once. And I know then the argument is, well, you had Pat Gelsinger, who came from the chip space, was really well versed in it, and had the drive and the ideas. But unfortunately, that didn't pan out, especially when you saw the loss of capital going into the manufacturing side, and the fact that they fell behind so many other chip makers. Even with their latest, they do have a GPU that's just really not up to par with what's out in the market right now.
You mentioned CES coming up. I mean, NVIDIA for several quarters was on this cycle of, please just tell us that the next thing is huge and it's going to happen and we can, kind of put it on the horizon. What are we waiting for specifically, if anything, to hear incrementally from Jensen Huang?
It would be Blackwell. So the Blackwell volume.
So it's the one we know, we want the timing and
precisely.
Yeah.
That's what's driving the stock in the near term. I know you have talked about it in many ASIC or the custom-made chips will possibly take away this market or change NVIDIA's reign in the coming few years. But in the near term, it really rides on what is that next iteration, and not even after Blackwell, it'll be Rubin, right? So will there be any commentary about Rubin? And so it's constantly fueling that fire, right? Like the next best thing is coming. Don't worry, because we're doing at least one new chip a year,
right,
which makes it so difficult for others to keep up when NVIDIA is so far ahead.
Blackwell's
That's the bull argument,
Blackwell's
though.
Shipping in size right now.
It is already shipping,
right,
yes.
Right now.
And it's interesting because as NVIDIA was the run-up of the year before, remember it was the best performer on the NASDAQ, then it took a break, and people, sort of wondered whether NVIDIA could do it again. Oh, it did it again. Some of your thoughts?
If you sold NVIDIA every time it went through a 10% correction, you would have been out of it a couple of years ago. It's that kind of stock. I think what a lot of investors get wrong about this company, and clearly there's competition out there, is that this is not just a chip company. This is an ecosystem. And along with the chipset comes the software, the coding, the support, and a lot of services that AI engineers can't easily replace. And I think what you're going to find here is that there's room for really a lot of players here. And the recent debate right now is between GPUs and ASIC, which is application-specific applications. And there's a lot of companies in that area. I suspect both will survive and do quite well.
Right, understood. Jensen Huang has been, touted as obviously someone so special with so much vision, and how NVIDIA is unlike the other players, that it's not just chips and it has its own language and its own ecosystem and its own, it's not like the others. And this is why so many of the guests who come on pick it for the long term. Where do you think it stands in 2025? Does it remain a leader?
It's going to be a leader for sure, but predictions are fraught with a lot of failure. I can tell you that. We don't know what 2025 is going to bring. Right now, we're dealing with some issues with the market right now. Rates are a little bit elevated, and we don't know what we don't know. But I think we are still in the early innings of this CapEx spend that's happening, and this rollout of the infrastructure, and that's likely to continue because we're going to be upgrading that. NVIDIA will clearly be a player. There'll be other players as well. If you're looking for something to worry about, watch CapEx spend at the hyperscalers. There's been a big ramp up in CapEx in companies like Microsoft and others, and if you started to see that come in, that would be a point of concern. It would mean that the demand wasn't quite what we thought. Right now, we're tracking about maybe $67 billion in CapEx spent for Microsoft. That's in the numbers right now. If we started to see that come in less, then NVIDIA would probably have a tough time.
Right, understood.
We'll examine NVIDIA's position in relation to other semiconductor stocks that Jim Cramer has confidently forecast. The semiconductor industry has witnessed its share of fireworks as 2024 draws to a close. Not all chip stocks have done well, but companies like Wall Street's favorite AI GPU stock are the ones that have attracted investor attention. similar to how businesses exposed to AI-driven data center expenditures have done well in the economy. Semiconductor stocks focused on AI have also found tremendous success, while other companies have not been as fortunate. NVIDIA is the top AI GPU designer in the world. Shares of OpenAI have increased by more than 700% since the company's public announcement of ChatGPT. However, as investors await the performance of NVIDIA's Blackwell GPUs and the emergence of competitors, the company's shares have only increased by 1.62% since their July peak. The stock has also been negatively impacted by rumors that competitors may take NVIDIA's market share for AI GPUs because of high prices and limited supplies. After Broadcom said that it may generate up to $90 billion in AI revenue by 2027, NVIDIA's stock fell 3% in December. In August, Cramer stated the following regarding the company. "I think you can probably predict it's NVIDIA. It is the market's monarch, and everyone else is just its pawns, following NVIDIA's lead. Recall my statement during the call this morning. Look, NVIDIA is almost too important. NVIDIA is under too much strain. Can it handle it? NVIDIA shouldn't be Samson, in my opinion." To stay informed about the latest developments from NVIDIA and the ever-changing stock market, consider subscribing to our investing tutorial channel. We provide daily updates on significant market shifts and key catalysts, so hit that subscribe button to ensure you never miss crucial information. We'd love to hear your thoughts on NVIDIA stock, so please share your opinions in the comments below. Now let's dive into today's video.
In the AI revolution, David, I mean, people are saying, look, we're only at the very beginning, and others say, oh, it's a slowdown. But, you start to hear about CapEx spending. Where do you think we are? What do you expect?
I think we're clearly in the early stages of this. And what we really need to see is the return on investment, not so much at the infrastructure build out, because clearly the NVIDIAs of the world, they're making money. But we need to see the Microsofts of the world start to make money on AI in a meaningful way, because they're the ones spending all the money right now. And then as it rolls out through the rest of the industrial complex, we're already seeing evidence of that. And a lot of companies are using it. Frankly, any Fortune 500 company that doesn't have an AI model within their framework is probably going to be looking for a new CEO. It's pretty pretty important. But it will have fit and starts. There'll be times when this does slow down and we'll have to retrench, but it doesn't mean the game is over.
As the year comes to an end, NVIDIA's Teflon-like stock may be losing ground, but analysts and investors predict that the AI market favorite will usher in a new era with even more remarkable growth quarters. Like Apple did in the early days of the iPhone, NVIDIA is printing money. Gerber, according to Ross Gerber, president of Kawasaki Wealth and Investment Management, the potential of AI is currently virtually endless. After NVIDIA gained notoriety for its high-performance gaming chips, Gerber has been an investor in the firm for the past 10 years and believes it is about to embark on its next phase of expansion. With the help of NVIDIA's cutting-edge chips, artificial intelligence infrastructure is expected to expand quickly throughout the world. NVIDIA is not a cheap stock, but it's also not a very expensive stock, Gerber stated. However, the real earnings they're generating and their stranglehold in the chip industry make NVIDIA's prospects for the next 5 years look extremely promising. He went on, "I wouldn't get off it now for sure. For investors, NVIDIA should therefore be included in your portfolio on par with Apple and Microsoft. The enthusiasm for NVIDIA's future is reflected in the influx of ordinary investors." Vanda research data shows that NVIDIA has received $30 billion in inflows from retail investors so far this year. With $15.3 billion in inflows, NVIDIA surpasses Tesla with $14.7 billion, becoming it the most popular stock among retail investors in 2024. However, some traders have decided to leave the NVIDIA rocket ship this month. In the last month, shares of the new Dow Jones Industrial Average component have increased by just 0.7%. The S&P 500 has lost roughly 1.7% during the past month, while the Dow has dropped 10%. To date, NVIDIA's stock has increased by 181%. Vivek Arya, a semiconductor analyst with Bank of America, believes the stock is at a turning point. There are a number of reasons for this, such as difficulties with execution when attempting to advance cutting-edge innovation and worries about China exposure in front of possible tariffs from a resurgent President Trump. Don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your input helps create a more knowledgeable community where we can all learn and grow together in the world of investing. Stay up to date with the latest market trends, insights, and key updates by subscribing to Investing Tutorial. We're here to help you make smarter investment decisions and stay ahead of the curve.